Day-to-day living is becoming increasingly cumbersome, going by challenges and pressures modern day life exerts on people across various ages. The tendency to cope with these challenges varies from one individual to another. Owing to this, many who cannot cope end up developing mental health problems. Thus, mental ill health is on the rise the world over and affecting millions. Stigma and misconception surrounding mental illness is preventing many from seeking help. Breaking the stigma is crucial, and that is the focus on this edition of Frontiers. Many thanks for tuning in. I am Frama Panye. Our guest is a priest who is passionate about bringing a change to the negative perception about mental ill health and also has a doctorate of philosophy in counseling psychology. Reverend Father Christopher Damina, it's a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Before we delve into today's discuss, we will take this excerpt.
Mental well-being is the foundation of a healthy and balanced life. It goes beyond the absence of illness and reflects how people think, feel, and cope with daily challenges. An individual with good mental well-being can manage stress, maintain positive relationships, make sound decisions, and contribute meaningfully to society. Just like physical health, mental well-being requires care. However, mental ill health is a challenge that is affecting millions of people across the world, but it is often hidden in silence due to stigma and misunderstanding. Unlike physical illnesses, mental health conditions are frequently misjudged, leading many to suffer alone rather than seek help. Stigma not only prevents early diagnosis and treatment, but also deepens the isolation of those affected. Experts say breaking the stigma around mental ill health will go a long way in recovery and also in proper care, which can lead to fulfilling and productive lives.
Once more, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Now, you've done some work on mental illness. Can you share with us some of the symptoms that suggest someone or an individual, is mentally unstable?
Well, I have discovered through my experiences and my years in the seminary and my postgraduate programs, I discovered that mental health is a very serious burden. It is a global concern. And but unfortunately, it is given the least of attention by government and some of the organizations that are supposed to be responsible for helping the general public to get to know so much about mental health. Mental health is a common disorder associated with abnormal behavior, unnecessary anxiety, fear, and the rest of them. So because if somebody is mentally balanced, his or her behaviors are okay. But those who have some mental health problem, they have problem with reasoning, they have problem with taking decisions, they don't have emotional intelligence. Sometimes they are afraid, they withdraw and create unnecessary social distance. And that can lead to depression and further psychological problems.
Okay. Now, what are some common misconceptions about mental illness that leads to stigma?
It is, our common trajectory is that when somebody is diagnosed to have a mental problem, people run away from the person. The person is unnecessarily discriminated against. And people always do not want to associate with that person because of his or her condition. And culturally, sometimes when they come back to the community, if he happens to be a man and he's looking for a wife to marry, nobody will agree to offer his or her daughter to him. And that is why many people suffer this burden quietly, because they are afraid of sharing, because the community will not accept them, they will not help them, and this affects seriously the support system that these people are supposed to enjoy.
Okay.
And that is why most people hide their condition. In my, as a priest, I have encountered a lot of people. This is not about, it is not all about mental health, but there are some families who have autistic children, children who are suffering from Down syndrome, children who are suffering from what we call dyslexia. They cannot read well, they cannot write well, they cannot articulate words. They hide them in the house. They keep them in their houses, and they don't want the public to know, oh, this family, they have a child that has Down syndrome. So it is also applicable to mental condition. It is even worse, because people often think that if you have a mental condition, if you have a mental health problem, you are mad already. They don't know the difference between full-blown madness and mental health illness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as a priest, you have interacted or you've come in contact with so many people. And what is the situation like for people with mental illness, and how has this stigma impacted their lives?
Well, let me begin from stating the clear fact that every pathological condition deserves treatment. These people, they deserve treatment in a very special way. They need rehabilitation. That is why they need a combination of clinical psychologists, they need medical doctors, and they need the counselors to attend to them. As you can see, we have only few psychiatrist hospitals. And these few psychiatrist hospitals, only few are ready to offer themselves or to come out to be treated or rehabilitated. But when you look at it, my own area of interest is the family, which is the nucleus of society. You discover that for a few years now, we have heard of serious spousal conflicts and even killing. And I have conscientiously, after going through some counseling sessions with parishioners to reconcile them, I've discovered that many people are having mental health issues.
Wow.
Because I don't see the reason why somebody who is supposed to be a father to his children, the person has neglected them, beating the wife, battering her every day, and sometimes the person packs out of the house. There are so many things, and sometimes when you invite them for reconciliation, they are not ready to cooperate, and their arguments point to the fact that they have some mental issues. So I have discovered that this problem should be tackled first and foremost from the family setting, and that is why I believe that if the members of every household happens to be mentally okay, then every household will be okay, then the society will be better off for it.
You had spoken earlier about families that hide their children who are autistic and have dyslexia. Speak to us about that, the impact it has on the children and members of the family.
You know, I've always said that if a marriage crisis, everybody is a victim. Whether it's the wife that is telling the husband, go away, or she's running away, or the husband sacks the wife, or he's running away, both of them become victims, and the children worse. Because if a family is struggling with a mental health issue, maybe the father is having a mental health issue, the relationship between him and the wife will be strained. There will be no proper communication. They cannot take decisions collectively, and the responsibility of parenting will not properly be carried out because they are always quarreling. They cannot have a common discussion on the same desk. And they instill fear in the children. And so the children are on their own because they always see their parents fighting and quarreling. And so there will be a kind of a parental neglect that will not properly bring up those children in a way that they should bring them up. So it tells so much, even more on the children. Because if the family is not well organized, if the family dynamics is not properly in place, the children are the worst affected.
Father, let's pause here and take a short break. We will return to this conversation.
Thank you so much.
You're watching Frontiers, and we're taking a look at breaking the stigma associated with mental ill health. The conversation continues in a moment. Now, before we went on that break, we were talking about how mental illness impacts the family. Now, let's discuss how can faith-based organizations shift the narrative from shame to support and breaking the stigma associated with mental illness.
Well, I have been trying at my own level as a priest in my parish. Maybe I will, with modesty, congratulate my parishioners for having me, because I've been using my experiences as a counselor and as a priest to talk to them, to create awareness, and to tell them that they should accept any mental health condition as just malaria. And I equally want to encourage, though this is not your constituency, want to encourage the seminaries that their curriculum should be expanded to include mental health concerns. Maybe they can begin from integrating counseling psychologists, psychology, clinical psychology particularly, into the curriculum. Because most times these are the people we encounter. And because we do not have the experience, which spiritualize everything. Because there are many people who are suffering from mental health condition, even at the confessional. You know, Catholic Church, you do confession. When they approach you at the confessional, you know their problem is more than the sin or the sins they have committed. They really need time so that you'll be able to explore. You will be able to encourage them to talk more. Then you use your expertise to advise them. So I don't think in the Catholic Church now we have started maybe creating avenues where people with mental cases could be attended to and treated in our sermons. But I think the most important thing is to create the awareness and change the narrative, demystify anything that concerns mental health, so that people will be able to accept it. It is only when you accept it as a condition, that is what we call in psychology insight. You accept that you have a problem, then you reach out for help. Even though we have scarcity of clinical psychologists, psychiatrists, and counselors, still the few that are around will be of help.
Now, what would your advice be to someone who is hesitant to share their mental health story?
If you had your problem will hide you. It will send you 5 feet down. It is said often that a problem shared is a problem half solved. Because, you know, mental health concerns can progress to full-blown madness. Then apart from that, the person cannot live a normal life. The person cannot associate with people, cannot interact, and even at work, the person does not perform well. The person becomes a burden to his immediate family and to the society in general. So I advise those who have mental issues to approach help, to approach professional for help. There are helplines all over the place. Knowledge is common now. At the tip of our fingers, you approach, open your phone, go to either AI or Google. When you check, you see where you can go for help.
Okay. Now, how can a balance be maintained between raising awareness about mental health and the risk of perpetuating negative stereotypes?
It is all about education and understanding. You know, there are some diseases that are harsher than, worse, more virulent than mental health. They are not hidden. Even though the culture I'm seeing now is the culture of maybe people hiding their conditions. As a priest, I know very well that some parishioners, when they are sick, they are reluctant to tell Father to come and pray for them. And if you happen to go, they'll tell you, don't tell anybody that I'm sick. Please, Father, let this be between me and you. So we have to create awareness. You look at the whites. If somebody is having a health condition, once you meet the person will say, I'm Mr. John, a cancer victim, I'm treating. But our own people always want to make it so private. We need to change our orientation. We need to change our trajectory and the stereotypes and see things from a positive angle.
Talking about changing our narrative and stereotypes, now what steps do you think NGOs and government and the society generally, families too, can take to break down stigma around mental health?
Well, I think the whole thing is about creation of awareness. I know the National Orientation Agency has been trying very hard to make sure that people, in the first place, avoid the consumption of substances that can cause mental problems. So, creating awareness in the church, family groups, because in my area we have family counseling. We can reach out to people to tell them to first and foremost appreciate the problems of mental health or disorders, and now try to support those who are already suffering with it, from it. Because if we accept our problems, okay, like the issue of HIV, you know, there are many people who are carrying the virus, but because of the stigma, they are not ready to come out to tell anybody. And some of them, the way they are going about it, some of them will tell you that, oh, I was just infected, an innocent person, I will infect so many people, I can't die alone. So because when somebody comes out that he or she is HIV positive, people run away. So we need to understand. We need to accept people. In the case of HIV, it is not a kind of an airborne disease. Mental health conditions, they are not airborne disease. We should not run away from them. We should not victimize them. But we can only try to understand the people, love them despite their conditions, and help them out if we can. If we cannot help them, we can refer them to quarters where they can be properly attended to, treated, and rehabilitated.
Now, what policy changes or initiatives do you think will have the greatest impact on reducing stigma around mental health?
Stigma is a community-based social problem. And we can begin from the churches.
Okay.
Because I doubt in our rural areas, very, very rural areas, I doubt if the stigma is as harsh as it is in urban areas. We can begin like in our churches, in our mosques, in our offices, in government offices and even private offices to try. And the National Assembly too should try to do something about it at that level, so that it will trickle down to the last person on the social ladder. I think government should do something about it. There should be a policy. There should be a policy as regarding this, so that people will be able, because these people are victimized openly. They are neglected. Some of them will not be accepted to work. Some cannot be given employment. So government should work on a policy that should be geared towards assisting people suffering from mental disorder, not completely mad people who are perhaps roaming the streets, but those who cannot put themselves together, reason very well, make good decisions, work to help themselves and others. Government should have a policy. Now, if government has a policy, the society groups can now break it down to their own level to educate the people. Even though we have so many policies that don't trickle down because of the problem of awareness, people don't even know about them. So government should begin, then other organizations, groups, faith-based groups, then should equally take the lead.
Finally, Father, what is your message to those who may be struggling with mental health?
My personal message is that brothers and sisters out there who are suffering under the burden of mental health disorders, I tell you that it is not a death sentence. You could be helped. You could be completely healed. Accept the problem. Have some positive insight. Then approach professionals for help. You can even meet me. I'll lead you there. And it will be okay.
Thank you so much, Reverend Father Christopher Damina, for coming on the program, sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
We have been taking a look at mental ill health and breaking the stigma associated with it. Our guest has been Reverend Father Christopher Damina, who is also a counseling psychologist. I am Frama Panyi. Bye for now.